AITAH, for refusing to let my husband name our daughter after his late wife. I, 29F, am currently 35 weeks pregnant with my first child, a baby girl, and what should be one of the happiest times of my life has slowly turned into an emotionally complex and, honestly, painful experience. I feel torn between honoring the past, protecting my present, and fighting for a future that I thought would be rooted in shared beginnings, not inherited ones. My husband, 36M, and I have been married for 3 years. He was married once before, very young, to his first wife, Emily. Tragically, she passed away in an accident 8 years ago. When we met, he was open about his past, not in a way that was heavy or unresolved, but in the way someone speaks of a deep, permanent scar. I respected that. In fact, I went out of my way to make sure I never made him feel like he had to choose between loving her memory and loving me. I always understood they had a history I couldn't touch, and I never tried to rewrite it. There are photos of Emily in our home, tastefully placed, not overwhelming, and we've spoken about her from time to time, especially when reminiscing or talking about how life has changed over the years. I even reached out to his late wife's mother on our wedding day with a small gesture, a note, just to say I was thinking of her. I've always tried to be kind and inclusive in how I approached her memory, because I understand grief doesn't vanish when new love begins. When we found out I was pregnant, we were over the moon. We waited until the second trimester to find out the sex, and when we learned we were having a girl, the reality of becoming parents started to feel very real. Like many couples, we started tossing around names, sending texts back and forth with favorites, laughing at each other's vetoes, and compiling a list of maybes. I was genuinely excited to find our name for this baby, something that would represent the beginning of our journey as a family. About 3 weeks after we'd been bouncing names around, my husband sat me down and said there was one name he hadn't mentioned, but that meant a lot to him: Emily, his late wife's name. He said naming our daughter after her would be a way to honor her memory, to carry forward a part of someone who meant so much to him. He said it would be beautiful to see life continue where it was once cut short. I was stunned. I didn't expect him to ask that. I didn't know what to say at first, so I just listened. When I did speak, I tried to be gentle but honest. I told him that while I understood why the name meant so much to him, I didn't feel comfortable using it for our daughter. This child isn't just a legacy of grief or memory, she's a brand new person, a new chapter, and she deserves her own name, one that reflects both of us and the life we're building now. I said I wanted her to have her own identity, not to live in the shadow of a woman she never knew. He looked disappointed, but he didn't argue. He nodded and said he understood. I thought the conversation was over, but a few days later he brought it up again. This time he told his mother, who then messaged me directly. She said how beautiful it would be, how meaningful, and how I should consider it an act of love to agree. Then his sister got involved too. She said the name would bring peace and healing to the entire family, and that no one would ever question my place just because of a name. But they weren't listening to what I was saying. They were only hearing what they wanted: a tribute, a symbol, something poetic. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here, 8 months pregnant, being told that I should name my daughter after the ghost of a woman I've never met, while trying not to feel like my own role as a wife and future mother is being overwritten. I told my husband again, gently but firmly, that my answer hadn't changed. I said I respected his grief deeply, and I admired the love he once had. But this is my first child. I have a right to give her a name that represents this family, not his past. I told him I didn't want to feel like I was raising someone else's legacy. I wanted to raise our daughter, not a living tribute. Since then, he's gone quiet. Not cold exactly, but distant. Like something is unresolved between us and he's not sure what to do with the grief that came back up. I understand that this may have reopened old wounds, and I do sympathize. But what about me? What about my feelings, my hopes, my vision for motherhood? Why is no one asking what this name might mean to me, or how it might make me feel every time I say it? Now I'm getting messages from his family telling me I'm being insecure, jealous of someone who isn't even here anymore. That it's not about me, that it's about honoring love and history and healing. And my own mother, who generally supports me, gently asked, "Are you sure this is the hill you want to die on?" But maybe it is. Because it's not just about the name. It's about feeling like this baby, this experience, this moment is still being filtered through the lens of someone else's loss. I'm not asking him to forget. I would never want that. but I am asking for space to build something new. Not a shrine, not a symbol, just a family of our own, with traditions, memories, and yes, names that start with us. So here I am, sitting with the guilt, the pressure, the uncertainty, and wondering, am I the asshole for saying no? For wanting our daughter to have her own name? For wanting to feel like this moment, this joy is ours, not a continuation of his past? Because right now I don't feel celebrated, I feel overshadowed. And it breaks my heart,